In this video, I'm going to take you from being a complete beginner to gaining the advanced knowledge required to set up profitable Google Ads campaigns. Now, there are 5 steps that I'm going to run you through, and the first step is going to be to set up your campaign settings according to yours or your client's business objectives. After that, I'm going to take you through keyword research and keyword selection so you can get the most profitable keywords for your campaign. Next, we're going to look at writing compelling ad copy. This is what's going to be enticing your potential customers within the search engine and get them onto your website. I'm also going to be showing you how to structure your ad groups within your campaign so that you can maximize your quality score and reduce costs. And finally, I'm going to show you how to set up conversion tracking so that you can gauge the effectiveness and profitability of your campaign. So let's get started. So, this tutorial assumes you already have a Google Ads account ready to set up your campaign in. Now, if you do not already have a Google Ads account, I do have a separate video on how to set up a new Google Ads account, and I'll put the link to that in the description of this video. Now I'm going to show you the setup of a new campaign for one of my clients. So this is going to be a real campaign that I'm going to be setting up. So to set up a new campaign, you want to start by making sure you're in the campaigns section. You can see the campaign option in the left hand menu, and then once you're there you want to click this plus icon, and this is how you create a new campaign. We're just going to click new campaign. Now you have an option of a number of different goals here. Now, if you want to set up a campaign with the best possible options, then you want to go ahead and click here, create a campaign without goals guidance. So we're going to be using our own judgment here. Now, we're going to be setting up a search campaign. So select search, and then you're going to go ahead and click continue. Now you're going to define the campaign name. So I'm just going to put in my campaign name here. You can always change the campaign name, so don't spend too much time thinking about that. Now next you've got the networks, search network and display network. And what we want to go ahead and do here is make sure that we're not including the display network, because that will mean that our ads are showing on other websites, not just in Google's search engine. So that's a lot less effective. Secondly, you have the opportunity of selecting include search partners. Now, search partners traffic is from Google's partnered search engines that Google have purchased. So traffic from those search partnered engines may not always be as effective as traffic from Google. So you can include that and then review the performance at a later time to see if it's effective and then exclude it at that point, or you can go ahead and exclude it now. To be on the safe side, you can go ahead and untick that checkbox, and you can always add it in later if you want to. Now, you can set a start and end date, but this is optional. You don't need to do that. You can always pause your campaign and then enable it when you'd like to have it enabled. Now, a very important section here is the location settings. So for this particular client, United States is the location that I'd like to be targeting. However, there is a setting here that's very important, and that is the targeting option. So you can select people in or who show interest in your target locations, and that is Google's recommended option. However, that's not my recommended option. It's not the recommended option of experts with Google Ads, because what that option means is that somebody outside of the United States could search for the particular services here and view our ad, and we'd be paying if they clicked on that ad, even though they're not in our target location. It's because they're showing interest in our target location. So the recommended option is to click people in or regularly in your targeted locations. That's going to be the correct option for 99.9% of advertisers. So make sure that you select that. Now you will leave the excluded settings as they are. We'll come back to that in a moment later on in this setup. And languages, English is correct. Audiences, we don't need to select any audiences at this time. And budget, so for the budget, this will be how much your campaign is spending per day. Now it's important to remember with the budget settings that how the budget system works is your campaign on any given day can spend double the budget amount you put here. So if we put $100, then on any given day, the campaign can spend $200. But the system will try to average out across each calendar month for $3,000. That's 30 times the daily budget. It will try to average out to spend that within a month. So just keep that in mind when you're setting your budget. Now, if you're not sure what you would like the daily budget for your campaign to be, then you can put in a low amount and you can always change this at a later date. So put in whatever amount you're comfortable with, and then you can change that at a later time. Now, bidding wise, you have a number of different options. Now, there are automated bidding strategies that you can select, but to use those effectively, you need to already have conversion data. For example, if you're using target CPA or target ROAS. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to optimize according to clicks, and we're going to go ahead and select maximize clicks. And you can set a maximum cost per click bid limit, and I would certainly recommend doing that, because otherwise the system can increase your bids to an almost unlimited amount, and you might be surprised or shocked with how much you're spending for a click. Now, so for example, we could put in $3 here, and we can always change this at a later time. So if you're not getting the level of traffic you want, you can increase this bid limit. So you can always come back to this. But the reason we're selecting maximize clicks is to get as much data for our keywords that we're going to be selecting as possible, so that we can then optimize based on how they're performing, and then adjust the bids based on which keywords are getting us the most conversions at the best price. Now you can also select manual CPC. Now this will allow you to set your own bids for each individual keyword. So if you're confident enough that you'll know how much you want to be bidding per keyword, then you can go ahead and select that. But remember, you can always change your bidding strategy at any time. So we're going to go ahead and select maximize clicks and then continue. Now, ad extensions are something we're going to be setting up at a later time. So we're not going to do those right now. What we are going to do is look at the additional settings. So at the moment, we haven't. If this is a new campaign and your first campaign, you won't have conversion set up yet, but that's something we'll come to. For ad schedule, this can be quite important for some businesses. For this particular client, they want their ads to show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you may only want your ads to show during your business working hours, in which case you'd want to set a schedule. So you can go ahead and add a schedule for Mondays to Fridays. So this would exclude weekends, and you can add a time from 9 a.m. to, for example, 5 p.m. And that will mean that if those are your working hours, your ads will only show during those hours. However, I'm not going to set that for this client because this client wants their ads showing all the time. So that's important. For the ad rotation settings, you can leave that as optimize for preferring best performing ad. And then once you are happy with those settings, you can go ahead and click save and continue. Now, for the method we're using right now, we do not yet need to set up an ad group. So we can go ahead and skip these particular steps. So we're just going to click save and continue, and we're going to go ahead and confirm continue to campaign. And this is our first campaign that's been set up. And up here, it says campaign enabled. So by default, a new campaign will be enabled. So what we could go ahead and do is go ahead and pause this campaign so that once we set it up, we can choose when it's going to go live. By default, this empty ad group has been created. Now we're going to be setting up our own ad groups. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that ad group. Okay, so next is going to be the most important part, which is step 2, arguably the most important step, which is doing our keyword research and selecting which keywords we're going to be targeting within our campaign. So to do that, we're going to click on Tools and Settings, and then we're going to click on Keyword Planner. Okay, so we're going to open up the Keyword Planner, and let's get started with that. So once you've opened up Keyword Planner, the next thing to select is Discover New Keywords. And what we're going to type in here is some brainstormed words that are related to our product or our service. Now, in this case, I'm setting up a campaign for a client who runs business leadership training courses. So I'm going to go ahead and actually type that in. So business leadership training courses. And what Google is going to do once we click get results is give us a selection of terms that people are currently typing into Google related to the service that we've entered. So we can see here, this is the exact keyword that I typed in. And there are also many other terms which are related to this keyword. Now you'll notice that there's a column here, average monthly searches. So this gives us an indication of how many people are using this keyword every single month. And you can see here that this keyword is quite obscure. It only has 10 searches on average per month, which is quite low. Now it's important to realize that this data isn't completely accurate. They're just estimates. But it gives us an indication of which keywords we should be focusing on. So when we're looking down this list, what we want to be doing is selecting all of the keywords that we feel are relevant and also have the intent of somebody who is either searching for or could be interested in the service that we're offering. So in this case, we're offering a course. It's ultimately a service, training somebody on business leadership. So we don't want to just include all of these terms. We want to include terms for people who are looking for that exact service. So we're going to go ahead and select in the tick box for this keyword. Leadership training companies. That's a good term because that person is looking for a company. They're looking for somebody who's providing a service and they're looking to potentially spend money. So that's a good keyword to include. So is business leadership course, business leadership training. So here's an interesting one. Top 20 leadership training companies. So this is quite ambiguous because is this person searching for the top 20 companies so that they can maybe choose one of those companies? Or perhaps not. Perhaps they're just looking for a list of the top 20 companies Perhaps they're writing an article that they're doing research for. Perhaps they're looking at competitors if they're looking at running a course for themselves and providing that service. So that's something that we could test. However, I would avoid adding those types of keywords. It can be risky to add that in. So top leadership training companies. That's something somebody would type in if they're looking for the absolute best or the top 3. Then they can select from that list. Business leadership classes. That's another relevant term. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through this list and I'm going to tick all of the terms that I think are relevant. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is add them to my plan. So first thing we want to do is give the name to a group just so we're organizing things, but we're going to actually define the ad groups later in this process. But I'm going to type in business leadership training and click create. And then we are going to add these keywords by selecting add. Now we don't want to put the keywords into our existing campaign, so leave that as plan, and then we're going to click on add keywords. And what that's going to do is it's going to move our selected keywords into the plan overview, where we could go ahead and download these keywords. So I'm going to continue selecting these keywords, and then I'm going to show you how to use these keywords to set up your ad groups and create your ad groups and set them up within your campaign. So once you've added all of your keywords to your plan, you can review the forecasting data for that plan by clicking on Plan Overview. And what this is going to give you is a very rough idea on how many clicks, impressions, and what your cost is going to be per month for your campaign. So based on the keywords that I've selected, if we were to have a max cost per click of $2.40 on average, then we would expect to get 230 clicks and spend $370. Now, if we increase that to $8.25 for the sake of argument, then we'd be getting 630 clicks, we'd be spending $3.1 thousand. So this just gives you an idea of what you might want your budget to be and what you might want your average cost per click to be for your keywords in order to meet your business objectives. Now we can also add in conversion metric estimates here. So if you have a landing page or a website that you're going to be using for your campaign, and you know from using other traffic, either organic traffic or from email traffic, what your conversion rate is for your website, then you can go ahead and enter that here. So for the sake of argument, that might be 10%. Now, if it's a website that you've never tested before, then you can just put in an estimate here, and once you get some conversion data, you will get a better idea of how well your website is converting. And you can also add here the value of a conversion. So for the sake of argument, if you're selling a product and that product costs $100, then you go ahead and put in $100 here. If you're generating inquiries, then you might look at how much business you generally get on average from an inquiry, somebody who's calling you up, and put that in here. And then once you put in that data, you click save. And this could give you some extra, some additional information about what you can expect in terms of number of conversions. For example, here from we've got 70 conversions, which of course is $7,000 in revenue, and that would be for just over $4,000 in ad spend. So you can play around with the numbers here, get an idea of how much you'd like to be spending per day within your campaign. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and click on this symbol to download. And what that's going to do is going to download all of your forecasted data into a CSV file. And what we're going to then do is we're going to use this CSV file to organize our keywords into the ad groups. And you can do that either using Microsoft Excel, or you can do it using Google Sheets, which is free to use. So we're just going to go ahead and click to download that, and I'm going to show you how to organize that file now. So I've opened up our forecasting data into Google Sheets. You can also use Microsoft Excel if you prefer using that program. And what we're going to do now is structure our keywords into their ad groups. And for this specific example, we're going to use what's called the SKAG structure, or the single keyword ad group structure. And what that simply means is that every single keyword is going to have its own ad group. And the benefit of this is that the ads can be catered to the specific keyword for relevance and maximizing quality score. So to start off with, I'm going to remove all of the columns that we don't need, so that we can begin organizing the keywords. So I'm just going to delete these columns. I'm going to delete the data here, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these columns here. Then I'm going to add columns for campaign, ad group. We're going to have criterion type, and we're also going to define the max CPC. Now remember, we're using maximize clicks as our strategy, so we don't actually have to enter a bid, but it's good to enter one just for good measure, and in the case that we revert from using maximize clicks to manual CPC in the future, it's good to have bids in there already. So we're just going to go ahead and remove these unneeded rows. And for the criterion type, we're going to start by importing broad match keywords, and we're going to later change these from broad to modified, broad match modified, and I'll show you how to do that later in this video. For the max cost per click, for the time being, I'm just going to enter 2 for each of the keywords. And for the ad group, what we're going to do is we're going to use a special formula to automatically define the ad group name for us, which is going to save us time, and the ad group name is going to give us an indication of which keyword is in that ad group and what the match type is for that ad group. So I'm going to start off by typing equals proper bracket C2 close bracket. Then I'm going to put and then quotation space hyphen another quotation mark, and then I'm going to put and I'm going to put D2. So what this is going to do is it's going to pull in the keyword, and it's going to capitalize the first letters of that keyword, and it's going to pull in the criterion type. So that means that when we're looking at this ad group, we can see which keyword is in this ad group, and we can see what match type that keyword is. And if you just click down, it's going to automatically do that for all of our keywords. So we've automatically set the ad group name for all of our keywords, which is great. Then we're going to put in the campaign name, and this campaign name needs to be exactly letter for letter. It needs to be exactly the same as the campaign name that we've already created, because it is case sensitive. And we're going to just copy that down for each and every one of our ad groups, because when we go to import this, we're going to do it using Google Ads Editor, and the system needs to know where each of these ad groups and keywords is going to go within the account. So we just want to have all of that information in there. And these are all of the essential columns that we need for importing. So next, I'm going to show you how to quickly import all of this data into your campaign and get that campaign set up. Okay, for the next step here, we're going to use a program called Google Ads Editor, and it's going to allow us to very quickly import our campaigns into Google Ads, and it's going to save us a lot of time. Now, to get Google Ads Editor, which is free to download, just type into Google Ads Editor, then make a search for that, and then we're going to click here, Google Ads Editor, and we're going to click to download. Then install Google Ads Editor. Now, what you're going to see when you open Google Ads Editor is this menu here, and you're going to click on Add, and this is going to allow you to sync your account with Google Ads Editor. So you can open this up and then click Open Browser to sign in. You're then going to sign in within your browser. So I'm going to sign into my Google account, which is associated with my Google Ads account, and you're going to click Allow. This is going to allow a sync between the two. So you're going to click Allow. It's going to give you this code. Then you can click Copy. So you're going to copy this code, highlight it, and then you're going to go to the Accounts Manager, and you're going to paste that code here. And you're going to click OK. That's going to allow you to import your campaign into Google Ads Editor. Now, I've already done that step, so I've already imported it. So what I'm going to do now, once you've got that, is you type in the name. So I'm going to type in here the account name, and it's going to open up the account. So you just click on that, and it's going to open up the account with your campaign that you've set up already in your account downloaded. Now, once you've done that, you're going to click on Account, and then if it has not downloaded your campaign already, if you cannot see it here within the campaign view, then you're going to click on Full Download. That will download your campaign. So we've got a campaign in here, and it's empty. It doesn't have any ad groups. It doesn't have any keywords in it yet. So we can add those now. So we're going to open up the file that we just created, either in this case Google Sheets, or in your case you might have used Microsoft Excel, and you're just going to click here Control A, and you're going to copy this. Control A, Control C to copy all of this data. And we're going to go back over to the Google Ads Editor, and we're going to go ahead and navigate over to the Ad Groups section. So on this left menu, we're clicking Ad Groups, and we're going to click here, Make Multiple Changes. This will bring up a new window where we can paste in all of the criteria that we've created in our file. So I'm just going to click Control V or Paste, and I'm going to paste that data in. So what this is telling Google Ads Editor is which campaign we're going to add to, and which ad groups we're going to be creating, and the keyword here. So we have here this. Okay, so we're creating new ad groups here. So we don't need to worry about the keyword. We're not importing that. We're not importing the broad match. We're not importing the match type. At the moment, we're importing campaign, ad group, max cost per click. But you can paste this all in, click process. And you can see here we've added those ad groups. And it's got a warning here telling us that we don't yet have any keywords yet, and we don't have any ads yet. We're going to add those soon. So don't worry about that. Check through, make sure you've imported everything, and then click keep up here. So that's going to make those changes. Now, we haven't yet imported these into our Google Ads account. So far, these bits of data are just in Google Ads Editor, which is exactly what we want. So we've imported those ad groups. Now we're going to import the keywords. Very simple. We're going to click here, Keywords. Then we're going to click on Make Multiple Changes. And then we're going to paste in the exact same data. We're not importing anything new. We're importing the exact same data. And it's telling it, here's the campaign, here's the ad group, here's the new keyword, here's the match type or the criterion type, and here's the max cost per click. Click process. And you've added in those keywords. Click finish and review. And yep, those are all the keywords. And then we click keep. Now, so going back to earlier, I mentioned that we were going to change these keywords from broad match to broad match modified. And if you're not familiar with broad match modified, it's a more precise way of targeting, and it'll add a plus sign to the beginning of one or more of the words within the keyword. So we've got broad match keywords here. So if we want to make these broad match modified, we're going to highlight all of these keywords, Control A. Then we're going to click on Replace Text, and that's going to bring up a new window. In this window, we're going to add in, where it says Find Text, we're going to put a space. So I'm just clicking the space bar here. And then Replace With, we're going to click space again, and we're going to put in a plus sign. Okay, so it's looking for a space, and then it's going to replace it with a space and a plus sign. And then we're going to click Replace. And it's added a plus sign to each of the words, except the first word. So to add it to the first word, we're going to click here again, to this little arrow, and then we're going to click Append Text. And then we are going to append a plus sign before the existing text, and now all of our words have a plus sign. So all of our keywords are now broad match modified. However, we also want to be using exact match keywords, not just broad match modified. Broad match modified is going to give us a wider scope than we would have with exact match. But we also want to have the exact match terms in there so we can see how those words perform, how the more precise version of keywords performs. So we're going to go back to our sheet, and we're going to make a simple change. Where it says broad here, we're going to change that to exact. And then click here to apply it to, I'm going to move that down. So what have we done here? We have changed these keywords to exact keywords, and look at that, our ad group has automatically updated. So what we're going to import now is new ad groups, and these ad groups are going to be for our exact keywords. We're keeping things separate so we can optimize for each individual keyword. So we're going to go back to Google Ads Editor, and we're going to do this exact same process we just did. So we're going to go to Make Multiple Changes. We're going to paste that in for the ad group. Okay, we're in the ad groups now. We're importing our ad groups. So process. So let's see. It's been skipped. There is a reason for this, and it may be that I have not correctly copied this information. So revert, cancel, add groups, make multiple changes, process, added. Okay, so I must have made a mistake there. So now we've added those new ad groups, finish and review, and again, keep. Then we go to keywords, make multiple changes. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to paste in these new keywords, process, added, finish and review, keep. So now you can see we've got each and every keyword, and we've got the broad match version and the exact match. We've got the broad match modified version and the exact version. So that's excellent. We've got all of our keywords and ad groups into Google Ads Editor, and what we can do here is click Post, just in the top right hand corner. Now, when you click this button, everything you have here will be transported into your Google Ads account. Any changes you make here cannot be undone. You can undo them by posting new changes, but you want to check through, make sure everything's correct before you post it, because we're going to be making actual changes to our Google Ads account now. So if you want to import these, click Post, and it'll bring up a new window. And it's going to tell you what you're going to be importing. Ad groups and your keywords. Okay, so we would click Post. Now, in this case, what I'm going to wait for is for us to have our ads in there first, just so we've got everything together. We're going to import everything together. So next, I'm going to show you how to create your ads for your campaign, and then we're going to import those together using Google Ads Editor, and this is the fastest way to do it. Okay, so next we're going to create the ad copy, the ads for our campaign. And we're going to do this using a useful template that I've created. It's a Google Sheet that I'll give you access to in the description of this video. And it has all of the columns that we need in order to import our ads using Google Ads Editor. And so we've got our campaign here that we need to add in. So I'm just going to put KC 2020. And we also have the ad group, so we're going to be adding those in soon. But firstly, let's start with actually writing our ads so that they're compelling and so that they're going to engage our target customers, get them clicking on the ads, visiting the website, and carrying out that action, whether it's the sale or a sign up that we want them to carry out. So each ad is going to be written on a separate row, and each ad is made up of headlines and descriptions. Now, if you're not familiar with how these ads look, we'll just do a search in Google right now. And we'll make a search for this exact service, which, remember, is leadership training courses. So we're just going to type in here, leadership training course. And you can see there's ads right here. So you can see that these ads have a 2 lines here separated by a divider. So that's headline 1, headline 2. And you have a description here. This is, so we've got headline 1, headline 2, and description. Now, within Google Ads, you can show more than one description. It depends. Ads are dynamic, and they're based on Google's calculation of what is going to get the highest click-through rate at that moment for that particular search. So when we're writing ads, we want to make sure that we put the important information in headline 1, headline 2, and description 1. That's where the most important information is going to go. So headline 1, generally what you put here is the keyword. So I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly in a moment. And headline 2, you want to put a differentiator. What differentiates you from your competitors? Why should somebody pick you? What makes your service unique? Then headline 3, and remember headline 3 may not show, but here it's useful to put a call to action. What do you want the customer to do? Do you want them to apply? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to purchase a specific product? Whatever that action is, you put it in the headline 3. Now you can test. You can put these in different positions, and I do encourage to always keep testing. That's the key to having effective ad copy. Now in the description, you're going to add in a bit more information. And again, you want to be putting in the features and benefits of your product or service here. And you can do the same thing in the description line 2. Now you also have a path 1 and path 2. And that will appear, the path 1 and path 2 will appear after the ad URL. So you can see here this path is leadership. So you've got the URL and then / and that's the path 1. So it just allows you to give people an idea of what page they're going to be directed to. So here we put in leadership training. That gives people an idea of what kind of page they're going to be directed to. And of course, you're going to enter in the final URL. This is going to be your website or your landing page URL. Now, you'll notice that next to these columns, there is a counter. That's counting the number of characters in that column, including spaces. And for each of the headlines, there's a 30 character limit. So if we were to go over this 30 character limit, the sheet is going to indicate, okay, you've gone over your limit. and therefore you need to shorten that headline. Now for the descriptions, you've got more space. You've got 90 characters as your limit, and in your path you have 15 characters. So what I've done here is I've created 4 sets of ads that are going to be tested. So I've got different ad copy that I've written in and that we're going to be testing in the different ads. Now, the next thing to do is to import the, what we're going to do is we're going to import the ad group names, and then we're going to start adjusting the ads, specifically the headline one, for each individual ad group. And what that means is that the ads are going to be relevant to each individual keyword. That's what's going to allow us to maximize our quality score by getting a high relevance. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. So to cater the ads to each specific keyword, what we're going to do is we're going to take our ad group names. So here we have all of the ad groups, and we're just going to click copy, Control C. And then we're going to go ahead and paste those here, but we're going to paste special. So we're going to paste values only to make sure that we're getting all of the names. And we're just going to expand that slightly. And we're also going to do something which is insert a column here, and we're going to insert the keywords. So we're just going to go back to our file, and we're going to copy all of the keywords, Control C, I'm going to paste them in here. So here are the keywords. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a formula here similar to the one we have used previously. So we're going to type in here equals proper D2. And then we're going to copy this down. Okay, so our headline one, remember, we want this to be specific to the keyword. We're going to start by putting the keyword into the headline one, so that when somebody types in a search, for example, in this case, adaptive leadership training, the ad that they see exactly matches what they're searching for, and they think, yes, this is what I'm looking for, and they're going to click on that ad, and then they're going to read about the service which is catered to what they're searching for. Now, you only want to do this for ad groups or keywords where what you're offering does match that keyword. In this case, the service does match adaptive leadership training. Now, another consideration here is the length of the keyword, because remember, we only have 30 characters that we're working with here. So any keywords which are longer than 30 characters, we're going to have to truncate those headline ones, okay? So let's start first by making sure that we can edit all of these, because at the moment these are formulas. So we're going to copy everything. We're going to copy all these keywords, and then at the top we're going to paste special. And we're going to do values only again. So values only. So now everything's pasted in there, and now we can get rid of this keyword column that we don't need. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that. And what I'm going to go through is start editing these headlines. So best corporate leadership development. Well, for starters, we can get rid of the word best, because best is quite subjective, and it's not always something that you want to claim within your ad. So we're going to remove best. Which other word can we remove? Programs. How about we remove programs? And now we've truncated it, but we're still over by 2. So what we could just go ahead and do instead we could instead remove development, because that's a longer word. So corporate leadership program, and now we are within the character limit. So what I'm going to go through is I'm going to quickly make all of those changes to all of these headlines to make sure they're relevant and make sure that they're within the character limit. And remember, you don't want to be putting anything in there that doesn't sound right for your business, for your service or your client's service, because we want to have relevant ads, but we also want to be honest in our ads. We want to reflect our business transparently and accurately. So if any of those keywords that you want to target don't exactly resonate with what you're offering, don't put it in the headline. Adjust the headline in any way you need to make sure you're portraying your service the way it needs to be portrayed. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then come back. So now that all of our headlines are within the character limit, the next thing we're going to do is define the remaining headlines and the descriptions. So we've got 4 variants here that we're going to be testing, and I'll always recommend that you have between 2 and 4 variants or expanded text ads within every single ad group, because you don't want to be testing only 1 or 2 ads, because then you're not going to see what's going to work for your keywords. And you don't want to be testing more than 4 ads, because then you're going to be diluting your results. So what we're going to do here, firstly, and this might seem complicated, but I assure you it's going to appear more simple soon. What we're going to do is just copy all of this data that we've just created, and we're going to paste it below. And we're going to do that 3 times, because we've got 3, we want to have 4 imports total for each of the different ad variants. So we've got 1, 2, and then I'm going to do 3 and 4. Okay, so these could be our 4 different variants. So this is going to be variant 1, and so what we want to do is copy this data, and what we can actually do here under labels is let's put variant A. So we've got we're gonna have A, B, C, D for our testing. So I'm just going to highlight from headline 2 to the final URL, and we're going to copy this down. Okay, so now as you can see, each of these ad groups has the ad that's catered with the headline 1 catered to the ad group, and we're going to be testing for each ad group the same headline, 2, 3, same description, because these descriptions and headlines are relevant to each of the ad groups. So that's variant 1. Now this time we're going to take number 2, or what we can call variant B. Okay, so let's call this variant B. Variant B, and we are going to copy this. So remember headline 2, just going to remove that, replace that one, and we're going to copy this down for all of the ads again. This one's going to be variant C. And we'll copy that one too. And then finally, we've got variant D. So we're just going to copy this. Okay. So these are all of our ads with the different variants. So each of the ad groups is going to have 4 different variants. And so that we can highlight all of this data together, I'm just going to remove these titles. I'm just going to go ahead and delete these rows. So we're importing everything together. Just going to delete this. So we've got all of these separate ads that we're going to be importing. Delete this. So these are all of our ads. So next, I'm going to show you how to import all of these ads using Google Ads Editor. Okay, so we're going to highlight all of these cells, Control A. And we're going to open up Google Ads Editor again. And we're going to, this time, instead of keywords, we're going to look at ads. So we're going to click here on the left side, Expanded Text Ads. Then we're going to click Make Multiple Changes. And we're going to make sure we're selecting My Data includes columns for campaigns and or ad groups. So we're going to paste here. And remember, we've got our campaign data, you've got our ad group data, headlines. These columns which are not importing, doesn't matter, you can leave those. So we've pasted everything in here, click Process. Okay, and you can see here the expanded text ads have been added. So we're just going to click Finish and Review, okay, and Keep. Now, we've only imported the ads for the exact ad groups because we have all of our ad groups defined as exact here. But it's a very simple change to make. We just highlight this column, we're going to click Control F. We're going to type exact, okay? Then we're going to go to Replace With, and we're going to click Broad. And just for good measure, we're going to click Specific Range, click this thing here, highlight this column, click OK. So we're going to be switching exact for broad, and we're going to click Replace All, okay? So it's replaced all of them with now broad, so we're going to click Done. Then we're going to highlight all of these cells again, Control C. We're going to go back, and we're going to click Make Multiple Changes. My Data includes columns for campaigns. Control V, we're going to paste all the data in here again, click Process. And now we've added all of the ads for the broad and exact ad groups. And you can check all the ads now. Make sure everything is as it should be, because next we are going to import all of the data into our campaign. So to do that, again, we just click here, Post. And what we're going to be posting here are the ad groups, keywords, expanded text ads, and labels. And you're just going to click Post here, and then it's going to begin posting to the Google Ads account. And you can see here it's loading. So once that's done, we can then move on to the next step of our Google Ads campaign setup. So now that we've imported our ad groups, our ads, and our keywords, the next step is to set up our conversion tracking. So to do that, we're just going to click on Tools and Settings. We're going to go to Conversions, and we're going to click this plus sign. So we have a selection here, and what conversion tracking allows us to do is see how many people have carried out one of those important actions that indicates that we've generated a new lead or a new client or a new sale, because ultimately that's what we're trying to achieve with our campaign. So it's essential we have conversion tracking to see which keywords and which ads are generating new sales, because without that data, really we're flying blind. Conversions are the lifeblood of a Google Ads campaign. Without them, we're not really sure what's working and what's not. So if, for example, you have a form on your website, and that when somebody fills that out, it counts as an inquiry, then you would select the first option, website. If you also have a phone number on your website and somebody calling that phone number counts as a lead or an inquiry or potentially a sale, then you can select phone calls, and you can set these both up if they're both applicable. So let's start firstly with website. So we're just going to click on that. And then for category, we're going to select Submit Lead Form. The conversion name's already been filled out for us. We can set a conversion value. For example, if you have an estimate or you know on average that when a phone call is made, it translates into X amount of dollars of business for you, you can enter that here, or you can add in a nominal amount. Now you can always change this at any point. So We can always come back to that. For count, it depends on whether we want a single person filling out that form to count as one conversion. Now, if that person, if we select every, then if that person fills out the form multiple times, that'll be tracked as multiple conversions. If we select one, then if that person fills out the form multiple times, or they load the confirmation page multiple times, it will still be tracked as one conversion. So for most businesses, I would recommend selecting one. Then you've got conversion window. That is the length of time after somebody's clicked an ad that it can be counted as a conversion if they carry out the action we're tracking, such as filling out the form. So 30 days is the default, and that's what I'd recommend for most businesses. You can always adjust that at a later point if you want to extend that window. You want to definitely have yes for including conversions. Attribution model, we could discuss that at length on which attribution model you want to be using. I'll be creating videos around attribution model, so you can learn more about that. Always come back and change that. But for the time being, it's fine to leave that as last click. So then you click create and continue. I'm just going to put in one here just to change that name. Create and continue. And then we're going to select install the tag yourself. You can also email it to your developer if you have a developer that handles everything for you. And you're going to be given two different scripts here. One is a global site tag, which ideally should go on every single page on your website, similar to a Google Analytics tag. But the only essential page it needs to go on is the confirmation page that somebody is going to end up at after filling out your contact form or your inquiry form. So it's the thank you page, or whatever page they get redirected to after filling out that form. Now, the other script, which is essential to go on that page and only that page, so this should certainly only go on the confirmation page or the thank you page, is the event snippet. And the way this works is every time somebody visits that page after filling out the form, or visits this page after clicking the ad, it will be tracked as a conversion. So we want to make sure that this they're entered in this order. So first this code, and then below it this code, and these codes should be placed just above the closing head tag of your web page, of your confirmation page. So we can actually look at an example here. So this is the landing page for this particular client, and if you want to view if the code has been entered correctly by your developer, or if you entered it correctly yourself, you can go here to view page source. That will open a new window, and we can see here an example. Here's the script entered in, and we can see just below, here's the closing head tag. So we've got this script in where it needs to be, below the closing head tag. Now, another useful tool you can use is the Tag Assistant, Google Tag Assistant. This is free to download, and it will indicate which tags you have on your page. So we can see the Google Ads conversion tracking code here, and we can see the code number here, and a little smiley face to show you've done it correctly. So that's useful to use. Now I'm just going to close out of this because I don't want to set up that conversion action. And what we can do here is also set up a web call conversion. So we can just go ahead and go through that process also. So you can set up a call conversion for the phone number that's placed within your call extension. So we're going to discuss that later, but that's a phone number that goes directly in your ad. If somebody calls that, then we can track that within Google Ads. So you can select that one. Now, if you also have a phone number on your website, and if somebody calls that number, it's a lead for your business, then you want to also be tracking that. And the way that will work is a dynamic number will be inserted on your website automatically by a script, and this will allow us to track those conversions. So to do that, you just select calls to a phone number on your website, click continue. Here we can just type in a name like web calls, and again you can put in an amount. one call, and then create and continue. Install the tag, and then again you've got a global site tag. You may have already added this if you've set up another conversion action. Otherwise you can add this in, and then what's useful here is you can put in your phone number and it'll add it automatically to the script. So we're just going to type in a dummy number here and create snippet. And so this will create the snippet that needs to go again just before the closing head tag of your page. And we want to make sure that we add the phone number in here exactly as it appears on your website, because what the script is going to do is it's going to swap that number for a dynamic number each and every time somebody clicks an ad and visits your page. So it's only going to switch that number for that particular user. It won't do it from traffic that you generate organically or from email campaign, for example. It's only going to be done from Google Ads, and this means that we're going to be tracking when somebody calls that dynamic number and gets redirected to your actual phone number, and we're going to be able to see how many phone calls have come as a result of your advertising campaign. So both of these forms of conversion tracking are very useful and are going to be essential for ongoing optimization and improving the performance of your campaign. So make sure you set up conversion tracking. Now, we've gone through the essential steps for setting up your campaign to begin getting it running. Now, I do also have some bonus adjustments that you can make for the setup of your campaign to get an even better amount of performance from your Google Ads campaign, which I'm going to be showing you right now. So the next thing we're going to go through is how to add in ad extensions. And if you're not familiar with this, what ad extensions do is they appear alongside your expanded text ad and give additional information to your prospective customers to help them make a decision. Now, the most common type of extensions are site link extensions and call out extensions, which are the ones I'm going to show you today. Now, there are other extensions which I'm not going to talk about just because we want to keep this video concise, but if you want to find out more about each of those different types of extensions, they're all, I have a video on each of them within this channel, so you can take a look at those within the playlist for Google Ads extensions. So let's start with site link extensions. Well, site link extensions give you the opportunity to link prospective customers to another page, which gives them even more information about what you're offering. So within the link text, you'll put what that page is about, and this is going to be the text that the person clicks to be redirected to that page. Then in the description line 1 and 2, you have a sentence or potentially 2 small sentences, which you are going to give them a bit more information on what they can expect on that page. So for example, we have the link text here, limited availability. If that person wants to read a bit more about what this is before they click it, they can read courses are available for a limited time only, don't miss out. And with the link text, you have only 25 characters, and for the description lines, you've got 35 characters for each of them. Then you have the final URL, and this is where you're going to enter the landing page that the person's going to be redirected to after they click that link. Now, site link extensions have been created by Google to give you the opportunity to direct people to a page separate from the landing page that you're using in your expanded text ad. So the ideal or the situation where Google wants you to use these is where you have many pages on your website and you're going to link to each of those pages that are going to be useful for a client. However, you don't have to use it for that. You can link all of these site links to your landing page that you're using within your ad if you want to. The thing to ensure is that the information you've put here in the link text is information that you have on that page, and that the information they're going to find. You don't want to give a sort of indication that they're going to find information which actually is not on that page. So you don't want to mislead people. You want to be giving them beneficial information which you're then going to link to on your home on your landing page. So that's site link extensions. Callout extensions are not links. These are just text that's going to appear alongside your ad. So it's giving you a larger ad. You're going to have a larger real estate effectively within the search engine. And this is what's going to potentially get you a higher click-through rate and therefore a higher quality score, which is why you want to be using these extensions in the first place. So now I'm going to show you, once you've filled out the text here, how to import this text into Google Ads. So when you've got your account open, to import your extensions, we're going to navigate to Ads and Extensions. Then we're going to click on the left side, Extensions, and we're going to click the plus sign to create our extensions. And firstly, we're going to click Site Link Extensions. And when you set up these extensions, you're going to have a choice of whether you want to add them at account level, which means to all of your campaigns, just for a specific campaign, or even just for specific ad groups. Now, for this example, we're going to select account because these extensions are applicable to all of our campaigns. And what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these bits of text and we are going to paste them into these sections. So the site link text goes here. The description line 1 goes here, description line 2 goes here, and then we would paste the final URL in here. Once you've pasted in each of the extensions, and you can see here, you'll see that there's 4 slots automatically, and you can add more slots. You're going to click done, and then we'll do the same thing for callout extensions too. Now for callout extensions, we're going to follow the same process. We're going to click the plus icon, callout extensions, and then what you can do is paste in those extensions here, and then click the save button, and those will be added to your campaigns. Now, one thing we haven't discussed already is responsive search ads, and this is a different ad type from the expanded text ads that we've already imported, and testing this ad type can help to improve your click-through rates and also improve your quality score. So it's well worth testing if you have the opportunity to add them in. And to do that, I've created this useful template that I will link to in the description of this video. And what you can do with this template is, firstly, on this first tab, enter in the ad variants that you've created. Now, we already created those ad variants before, remember, and we use those to make our expanded text ads. Well, now we're going to use those exact same ad variants to create our responsive search ads. So you enter your ad variants, your different headlines and your different descriptions here. And once you do that, that data from each of these 4 variants will automatically be imported into this sheet. There are formulas here taking this cell, for example, is taking its data from cell F2 on the variance sheet. So it's taking this headline and it's putting it here. Then it's putting the other headline variant here and the other headline variant here, so that they will all be tested against each other to discover which variant performs the best. Now, again, these ads, the testing for them is done automatically by Google's system. So from that respect, you don't need to set up different ads. You set up one responsive search ad per ad group. And one thing that you do want to do is define where each of the headlines is going to appear within the ad, the placement of that headline. So here, there's a column for headline 2 position. So this headline 2 will be fixed in position 2. So that means that it's fixed as a headline 2. This headline 3 will also be a headline 2. And this headline 4 will also be a headline 2. And then headline 5 will be headline 3, and so on. So it allows you to decide where the headline is going to be placed, and this allows you to make sure that your ad reads well and makes sense when a prospective customer makes a search and sees your ad. So now that we've got this template filled out and populated with all of our headlines and descriptions, the next thing to do is to import these ads into our campaign using Google Ads Editor. So we want to make sure that our ad groups are in there, and the campaign name is in there, and also we want to put in the headline 1. And remember, we want the headline 1 to be specific to the keyword, specific to the ad group. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our old ad group names and headlines that we've already created and paste them in here. So I'm just going to go over to our other sheet, which we have the expanded text ads created in, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy the ad group. So I'm just going to copy the ad group name. So these are all of this is the unique ad group name. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. So we've got the ad group pasted here. Then I'm going to copy the headline. So I'm going to grab the headline 1, which we've already created. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that in here. And now we can go ahead and just copy down all of this data. So we've now got every single ad that now has a responsive search ad. And now our sheet, our ads are ready to import. So I'm going to click Control A, Control C to copy all of these ads. And I'm going to go over to Google Ads Editor. And instead of expanded text ads here on the left, I'm going to click on responsive search ads. I'm going to click on make multiple changes. My data includes columns for campaigns and ad groups. I'm going to click paste, Control V to paste this in, and I'm going to click process. And we can see that 91 ads have been added in, and there are a few duplicates in there, it appears, and those have been skipped. So we're going to finish and review the changes. It appears though everything's been added in and there's no errors, so I'm going to click keep. And now we can see all of our ad groups have, all of the broad ad groups have the new responsive search ads added in. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to change the ad group name to exact to make sure that all of our ads, all of our ad groups have the new ads. So I'm just going to click exact here, type in exact here to replace it with, and I'm just going to do this for a specific range, just for this column, and replace all. So everything's been replaced there. I'm going to click Control A, Control C, make multiple changes, process, and we've added in the same 91 ads, but for the exact. And I'm going to click keep here. So just in case there's any errors, I'm also going to check through that. So once you've done that, the next thing to do is to post your new ads. So you again click in the top right hand corner, post, and you can see the responsive search ads are ready to import, and you'll click post here. Now the next thing we're going to talk about are negative keywords, and what negative keywords allow us to do is block terms which are not relevant to the product or service that we're promoting. So I've got here in front of me an article or a resource which will help with adding negative keywords, and we can see here an example where there's a term solicitor's salary, and if we're promoting the services of a solicitor, we don't really want to target people who are searching for salary information. So what we can do is we can add a negative keyword for the word salary, and this will stop our ads ever appearing for any term that includes the word salary. Even if somebody types in, what salary does a solicitor earn, that those terms will be blocked. So this can save us a lot of money if we set up a lot of negative keywords for non-relevant phrases in our campaign. So in this resource, I have a long list of pre-researched negative keywords that you can apply to your campaign, and this will save you in the long run a lot of money, and having these lists will save you a lot of time in setting up the negative keywords in your campaigns. So you can see there's a lot of different categories to choose from, and I have negative keyword lists for those categories. So for example, if you want to block out people who are searching for discounts, for cheap services, bargain services, free services, you can block those out immediately before your campaign runs, and that way when you start paying for clicks, it's not going to be for people who are looking for free services and are not looking to pay for your product or your service. So what I would recommend doing is adding these lists to your Google Ads account so that you can preemptively block all of these terms. And I'll show you how to do that. So for each of these lists, what you can do is you can download the text file. So we'll see an example right here. So you just click this file here, phrase match, text file, and we're going to open. And you can see here that all the terms are listed here, and they've got quotes, and that's because these are phrase match negative keywords, and that means that we're blocking any keyword that contains the word bargain. So for example, if somebody was typing in, just to use solicitors as an example, if they're typing in bargain solicitors or cheap solicitors or free solicitors, we would be blocking that phrase. So in order to use this, all you have to do is highlight these terms and then click copy. Then within your Google Ads account, navigate to Tools and Settings. And then what we're going to do is click on Negative Keyword Lists. And you're going to create a new list. And you can see here I already have some pre-built lists. And you can apply these lists to your campaigns, and that's the idea of what we're doing here. So to create a list, click on the plus icon, enter a list name. So for here we could put discount, and paste the terms in there. Now if you want, you can create one big list to encompass all of the terms you've selected from this resource. So you could add job related terms as negative keywords. Anybody who's searching for a job, you might want to block that out. Anybody who's searching for legal information, anybody who's searching for financial information, or searching for any media articles or blogs or FAQs or forums, you can block all of these terms out. So once you've set up your negative keyword list, you click save, and then you can apply that list. So just click here and click apply to campaigns, and you can then select the campaigns that you would like to apply this list to. So again, this will save you a lot of money, and it can save you a lot of time setting up these lists, so that you can preemptively block all of these non-relevant terms. Now another area we haven't discussed yet is device targeting. So if you start by clicking on your new campaign and then scrolling down and making sure that you've opened up the More tab, and then click on Devices. And you can select from computers, mobile phones and tablets, and exclude any of those devices which you do not want your ads to show on. So if you're not really looking for traffic from people who are using tablet devices, what you can go ahead and do is just click on that, edit, change bid adjustment, and you can decrease or either the bid adjustment by 100%, that'll completely rule out that traffic, or if you'd like to test the traffic but with lower bids, then you could, for example, put in a decrease of 50%, and that would give you 50% lower bids for that device. So depending on your the type of traffic you're looking for, this could be a very useful way for you to save money on your campaign. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about is the demographic targeting of your campaign, and you can access the demographics section by clicking this tab here, demographics. And when we're talking about demographics, we're talking about things like age, gender, or household income of your target market. So if we start with age, if you know, for example, that your product or service is not associated with younger age groups, they're not going to make up any of your customers, then you can go ahead and exclude those age groups. So for example, if you wanted to exclude ages 18 to 24, then you can run a filter here, select 18 to 24, then highlight all of the ad groups, click edit, and then you can exclude from all of your ad groups. Alternatively, you can add a bid adjustment. So you can change the bids just like we could for devices. You can decrease the bids by a certain percentage. So you could decrease all the bids by 50%. You'd be paying less from users who Google knows are in that age group. Now, bear in mind that a certain number of your people clicking your ads, Google is not going to know their age or their gender or anything about them. Google really only has information about people who are logged into their Google account, and it's based on the information those people have volunteered when they've set up their account. Now let's take a look at age, where you can do a similar thing. So you can exclude, for example, males or females, or unknown, where Google doesn't yet know the gender of that person, or you can add, again, bid adjustments. Then there's household income. So you can filter according to various household incomes. If somebody's in the top 10%, for example, maybe they're not likely to be one of your customers, you might deem. Or if you have quite an expensive product, maybe the lower 50% wouldn't be within your target market. So you can either add bid adjustments or, again, exclude those people. So using these adjustments early on can help you to potentially save money when you're just starting out with your new campaign. So if you followed all of the steps in this video, your campaign should be ready to go live whenever you want ads to begin serving. So to put your campaign live, all you need to do is click on this button here and click enable, and your ads will begin to start serving. So that's it for this setup video. Thank you for watching, and well done for getting to the end of the video. It's been a long video, but hopefully it's been very informative and useful for you. Now, if you need any advice or assistance, or you'd like your campaign to be set up professionally by us for you, then feel free to get in contact with us at contact@optimizerlab.com. And if you'd like any consultancy or help in managing your campaigns, then feel free to get in contact with us about that also. We'll also be coming out with additional content to help you learn how to manage your campaigns effectively and profitably going forward. So feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more content of that nature. And again, thank you for watching.